So let's go to question number 3, y'all. And I'm gonna put it in the chat here. Whoever wants to start first. And it goes, how do cultural, historical, and generational narratives contribute to the silence or stigma around seeking mental health support in our communities? Come on. We all had little
I'll
conversations about
start.
that.
Oh, you got it, Dr. J. Go ahead.
Oh,
You killing us with these questions, man. This is like a whole documentary for every question.
I know. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tynetta. Go ahead.
I was, the first thing I thought about was this mental health thing. So I had taught this social problems class before, and I showed my class this video of this lady. I can't remember what country she's from in Asia, but it's certain mentalities in certain countries where you have to work yourself nonstop, and a it's like a badge of honor to work the most hours in a week. And I showed them this video saying this lady worked like 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week as an attorney. And she worked so hard. And she got to a point where her grandfather was about to pass away and her boss wouldn't let her off. And she kept working, didn't see her grandfather, and he ended up passing because she was afraid to go see him because her boss threatened to fire her. And what she learned from that lesson was like this cultural, it says, this stigma that it's not even worth it. Like to be in a position where it's harmful for you, your family, your mental health, where you can't even seek assistance because you're working so hard. I mean, I believe like the universe, God, like he put me here not to be suffering. And I don't know like what my age gap is with you all. Like I feel like I learned early. Like I say my friends, my parents, and if I got sick at a young age from stressing out too much or being silent, Dr. J, I kind of learned early, like, no, I ain't doing it. I'm straight. You asking for some help, I'm gonna get somebody else to do it. My children say, Mommy, can you cook? Look, it's some food in there. You ain't about to die today on my watch. You better get some grapes and wash it. But like what I've learned, so this is how I talk. This if you like me, you don't. So but like just understand like being silent and that stigma around mental health, like I will be the first one now. I didn't used to be, but I'll be the first one now to say I need help because I'm not about to be sick again. And I be yelling it from the mountaintop like y'all, you don't want to be sick like Tanetta. You better speak up for yourself and get you some help.
I
Um,
think about to build culture takes a lot, right? And so we've been conditioned for generation after generation after generation that mental health is not for us. First of all, growing up, I don't ever think, mental health was anybody that looked like us on this panel, right? And so you were told, don't go and let that white man shrink you. Don't go and let that white man, that white woman tell you what to do. They don't know what they're doing. And then the church will say, you don't need no counseling. You need prayer and you need to just come prayer and pray. And then Uncle Bobby, who stayed in the room, that don't nobody let him out. They took his food into him because he had some mental issue. Then you had Auntie KK, who had been abused all her life, and people talked about her because she was a trick on the street and on drugs, but nobody talked about that she was molested for 10, 15 years of her life. Come on, y'all. Let's talk about the real stuff that go on in our communities where your mama said, well, go on this house, stay in this house. You don't talk about it. You don't tell nobody about what's going on, your suffering, your pain. My cousin went to, was Catholic. My grandmother sent him away to be the priest. He came back. He was not the same. He won't even talk about it. He won't talk about it. Right. And so we don't talk about the suffering. We don't talk about the pain. We don't talk about we still grieve. That picture of that plantation burning down that's all over Facebook and all of Black folks having parties and stuff over a plantation. You talking about we was enslaved for 400 years and people talking about, well, what y'all get over it. It didn't even happen to you. What you feeling? Because our generationally, we're still feeling the pain that happened to the ripping apart of our families. And I was talking to somebody about the movie Claudine. I don't know if you had to hide what you had. A woman couldn't have a man in the house to get public assistance. So we're talking about it continues to perpetuate. We're not getting a break. So if we can't get a break, how do we heal? We have to start talking about this stuff and start making it okay. And that was another reason why I wanted to get into counseling, because I wanted people who look like me to be able to see somebody like me who say, Dr. J, I saw your picture on Psychology Today, and I just bonded with you because of your picture. It was that made them come to me, that made them feel that I would be a safe place for them. So all of us, not just therapists, but coaches, and whatever we do in whatever area we do, we are all designated to do something particular in our communities to help rebuild and build another culture in our communities. And it's vital, because our young people are out here killing each other and killing themselves, all because I didn't get a like on Facebook. A young lady killed herself because her friend got more likes than her on Facebook. Come on, y'all. What we gonna do? We got to do something different. Stuff like this fired me up, and I'm so glad, Miss Adam, you decided to do this and bring us together and let us be able to be honest and talk about what we talk about, how we talk about it, because everybody don't talk about it like we do. So we need to be able to just be real and say how we feel. So thank you for that.
So I think about, I think about generational narratives and how they contribute to the silence and the stigma. We have to change the way we talk to ourselves and our families. We just have to do it. We have to stop excusing behavior, right? So like in the Latino community, everybody has that one uncle, right? And you have to like watch how you dress because so-and-so is going to be there. No, so-and-so needs to act right. Like I think we just have to really stop excusing behavior, because I feel like there's a lot of generational gaslighting, and it's like, no, this is because you did that. No, this is because somebody else didn't have control over themselves, right? Why does it have to be me? And I think that leads into like being able to access mental health services, right? Because it's like this is my problem. Like, no, it's not, right? There's a system that, or a community or a family that you belong to, where there's a lot of things happening that shouldn't be happening, right? Showing emotion doesn't mean weakness. I actually think it means strength, right? Like you have the vulnerability and the strength to be able to be honest with me about what is happening for you. So you think about a lot of terms, and I get fired up with that too, because it's like, no, I'm not responsible for someone else's behavior. And as the generations keep going, like, yes, the people that came and that exist, generations behind us, they had a lot of things happening for them. And was it very harmful? Some of the things that people have done? Absolutely. And I think about the support and the help that they might have not received that they needed, and were they doing the best they could with what they had? Like it just prompts all these other things. We could talk about this all day long, right? But I think we just have to start creating different narratives and just realize the impact that that's having on our younger generation.
One thing, just as you were saying that, Daisy, that really stuck is just, I think we put that in a space, right? And I think we've kind of said it about the airing the dirty laundry, right? But I think it also creates and perpetuates that stigma of like how we're looking at mental illness, and that it's viewed as like this moral failing, right? Like if you're navigating this or you're navigating something, then something's wrong with you. It's never the environment that contributed to like what's wrong with you, but that this moral failing falls on you as the individual, right? And when you're sitting with that and you don't have the emotional resources because the different things that have been existed within your environment kind of truncate you and stop your growth emotionally, it's like, what are we teaching, and then what do people do with that, right? And so I think it just continues to perpetuate, right, more of that mistrust in the medical model of care, more misdiagnoses, and just more harm coming to our Black and Brown communities. That continues, right, continues this generational distrust, right? Because on one end it becomes an individual burden, and it's not a collective or environmental burden. And we have to do so much work, right? And I think that's where the mental health literacy of this, right? Because much like we've all been taught, right? We go pray about it. I'm like, well, you can have a therapist, right? The Bible and your therapist too, boo, right? We can have all of that. And they don't exist in isolation, and they're not mutually exclusive of each other. They're mutually inclusive of each other when it comes to like this work that we got to do. So it's not that uh, something's wrong with the people that this moral fabric is like ripping for us. Like we have to do that part to help mend those moral fibers so that people really believe that they deserve to get the healing and get access to that.
All right, we got space for one more. One more. Who wants to step up? One more.
I
thought.
got a question really quick on that. Like we've been talking about this. We've been talking about vulnerability too. I say this in class, Adam. I probably said it in the class you took. I say, listen, when's the last time you heard someone say, "I'm sorry, I'm about to be really excited," or "I'm sorry, I'm about to be real upset right now"? But the first thing people do when they're about to cry, they apologize. Sometimes even before the first teardrops, they say, "I'm sorry, I'm about to cry." Why? Why is that? So I say we need to start, we say change his narrative, right? And going all the way back to what Dr. J said, like that fire. I don't know about y'all, but I felt it too when Dr. J said, I'll get passionate. I'm like, yes, we have to start asking sensible questions. When people say, oh, well, that's just your uncle obligation, you can't say that because that's family. Why? I had a conversation with my 94-year-old aunt. I said, if you keep saying nobody loves you, you're going to have what you say. Stop saying that. You can't keep doing, you got to start questioning. And so many times, even in our community within, because we take the narrative of the person who oppressed us and we pass that down to the younger generations. So don't talk back. Don't question. No. Yes, you need to question. So we need to start asking those around us, why? Why do you feel you can't cry? Why do you feel you can't check the people who are disrespecting you? You're an adult. You're 30, 40, 50 years old. You pay your bills now, but you can't say nothing back to auntie. Lies you tell. So I'm going to protect mine by asking simple questions. Why? Why is it? I ask my clients when they about to apologize in a session, why did you just apologize for crying? And they say, Coach, I don't know. And I'll say anything else because I don't want to reprimand you. I just want you to think about it. And that's it.
All right. Love that, Coach. Let's go to question number 4. Put it up here in the chat. And I don't know if y'all feel the heat in this room in a good way. Good heat. It's all good heat. But y'all all cooking. Y'all all putting it together. So here's question number 4. How can community-based healing practices challenge the harmful narrative that strength means suffering in silence? I felt like y'all were touching on that here and there. Let's dive in now. I'd love to hear from people who hasn't really chimed in yet, just to give them the opportunity to get in there. But whoever wants to step up first, the floor is yours.
And I would first say that they have to believe that's real before they can do anything about it. Right? I mean, if you don't get it, if you don't understand it, right? And it's different for people who live that, right? And in reality, we can say most people probably live that but don't know, right? And so when I think about healing practices and challenging that narrative, we always want to talk about being authentic and being real, but how can we actually say something and people receive it in a way where we're not trying to attack, but we're trying to, in a sense, move somebody to a space where they can actually receive the necessary healing that they need. Right? I think that's where I am right now.
Dr. Joe, I was gonna you brought a memory back. So at one point I was a high school teacher and I was a special ed teacher. And I got a lot of love in my heart. So what I would tell my students in the beginning, I'm like, hey y'all, I want to let y'all know I love y'all. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. And I will get negativity right back. They're like, Miss Muhammad, you don't love me. I'm like, whoa, how am I threatening you? And so like you just said, you got to believe it. If you didn't even know I was trying to express love, why is it like a challenge? Why does it feel like an attack? It took me many months for them to say, Miss Muhammad, because I would say, good morning, beautiful, at the door. When they would come to my class, they said, Miss Muhammad, don't be calling me beautiful. I'm like, you mean call you ugly? Like, no. by the end of that school year, before I could say good morning, beautiful, they were saying it to me. Good morning, beautiful. I was like, oh my gosh, you believe in house. Like it just takes like a lot of continuous effort because he's like, you got to be like this, that strong person. You got to be strong and actually continue to do it, the healing. If you may give up on heal, like I don't want to heal them no more because they don't believe it. But if you really believe they can be healed, like you can't force it. Over time, breaking them barriers down, it'll start affecting the people that you're trying to help, or they helping themselves.
I think it takes us back to some of just like what's indigenous to us as people of color, right? Like healing doesn't happen in isolation, healing happens in community. And so when we can start thinking about like our community-based healing practices, it's just taking us back to our roots, like where we come from. Like it was never meant for us to heal alone. It was never meant for us to carry and hold these burdens alone. So I think it gets us into a space where we can acknowledge and invite in, right? Like this collective care and this communal care over like saying like the individual has to continue to endure. They have to run this emotional marathon and right and be in that space. Like that's too heavy of a burden for any one person to bear. And I think it promotes, right? Like I don't know if y'all heard the term, right? But healing justice, right? It was brought about by Kara Page, and we've been talking about it a little bit more if you kind of exist in that space. But like healing justice is just kind of saying like we all fundamentally, like everybody deserves to heal, right? Like, you know, and doing the work that it takes for us to create spaces for us all to heal. And when we can do that, right, I think when we can create these spaces in community where we're healing together, right, we're also making spaces that model like and can be congruent with what we were talking about earlier, which is vulnerability, right? When we can heal in community and we can create these spaces in community and we can model these possibilities, we're also then giving permission for vulnerability to then also expand, and that it's rooted in a togetherness and it's not a weakness that we're here, right? But that we're saying that your strength no longer has to be something that you got to burden and shoulder, but it's like, what ways can we create spaces that allow us to connect and to grieve and to rest and to ask for, right? That no longer make us feel like we're doing so with shame, right? So we're removing all of the things that for so long have existed in very stigmatized and very labeled spaces. And we're saying, remove all those labels, right? Like we got to remove all the labels, no more labeling, right? And we are invited into spaces. I think you said it earlier, Mike, when you were like, I don't want any part of that resilience, right? And it's because it's that label, right? That label that comes along with it that is really like foreboding us as a community and keeping us from the things that create joy and create the connection and create those spaces where we can just hold ourselves, right? And the more that we invite and kind of dismantle, disrupt, deconstruct, right, all of that, we do give ourselves permission to do that. And I think communally, I think we are very much like seeing like our indigenous practices aren't the things that made us crazy. Our indigenous practices are the things that are going to heal us, right? We're talking about rest as resistance. We're talking about being good trouble. We're talking about disrupting, right? And all those things weren't things that we gave ourselves permissions to be in or exist in. And so I'm here for it, y'all. And we're the ones that we've been waiting for, right? And we're the ones helping to model, right, these possibilities so that others can see that they can do it too. So yeah.
Real quick, the profession isn't necessarily set up for like communal, right? Like it's set up outside of like maybe a group therapy, right? It's not set up for the way in which historically, culturally, us as Black and brown folks have been I'm gonna say nurtured way before many of us were born to heal, right? And this is just I'm gonna throw this out there. I will also add some people when you start talking about like our ancestors, indigenous practices, all of that, they're like, that's devil. That's right. And so that's another kind of conversation when you talk about mental health and healing, of the way in which I'm starting to just see what's happening. People are like, no, I don't want no parts of that. That's not right. And so that's a whole nother dialogue, but I just
You're
had to throw
right,
that.
though, Dr. Joe. I mean, it's the way we've been acculturated, right? We've been acculturated to the rugged individualistic side of our society. And you're right? When we start going back to our community and our culture, it's like, oh, that's the devil, right? Like, and I'm Afro Latina, so then it's like Santanas, right? Like we're like, we don't do that stuff, right? Because it's so taboo. And so that's why I was saying, like, that's the work of just like deconstructing and changing that language, because yeah, we got to model these possibilities, because we do, like, all of us here, we've all had the privilege to like be exposed to education, right? Education, we all know, is a luxury and privilege. And so like this luxury and privilege that we've had to be over here, like that's a part of like bridging this. And we know it's a loaded question. It's a loaded thing. We could be here for hours. So I'm gonna get off.
I love that. I just want to.
Rosina. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
No, I just want to say, like, that what y'all just shared right there dropped. Oh my goodness. That's goes back to what I said. We got to start calling nonsensical stuff out. It's like you take the narrative that somebody gave you to think that your ish was evil, and now you don't want to question it. So it's like, no, okay, you can pray about it. Don't be meditating, because you lead idle mind is a devil's workshop. What are you doing with both? You waiting on the answer. You're clearing out the noise so you can get an answer from your inner power. And so I tell my people, listen, y'all, I can go there. I'm the son of Pentecostal bishop and evangelist. And I tell people, cut out the nonsense. That's why my family a lot of times don't want to talk to me. And I'm okay with that, because I ain't for you. So going back to that, sometimes we got to just get to the root of the matter and say, in order to change this narrative, we have to start where we are. And it may not be us. It may not be us, but at least I can leave the footprint to my nephews and nieces, to the ones behind. You remember when Uncle Mike used to say so and so and so? You remember when Coach Mike said, now because sometimes we expect an overnight change from something that took 400, 500, 600 years. And in order for us to get back, when you turn around to reroute GPS, sometimes it adds 20, 30 minutes on your trip. But sometimes we got to be patient enough. And I say, I'm so thankful that I have the ability to slow down. And I know it may not be my work. I may be planting the seed that somebody else waters. But long as I do my job and let my voice be heard, we can knock this down, because it's like getting back what y'all said, community. Oh, when you said community, I was like, whoa, yes, Lord, I felt that. Because communal, but it's got to be a joint effort to say, stop with the nonsense. You're telling me something that somebody else told you. Is it working? Ask yourself the question, is it working? We have to start asking questions. That's why I love being a coach, because I get to ask some sensical questions to people who doing some nonsensical stuff sometimes. Ask yourself the question, is it working? If it ain't, we know what insanity is. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.